So the average rental unit asking price hit an all-time record in June of 2023. What does that mean for you if you're a tenant? What does it mean for you if you're a landlord? And what does that mean to you if you're an investor looking to get into the market? I'm Michael Ouzas. I'm a realtor in the Greater Toronto area, and if you ever want to book in a call with me to discuss any questions you may have about the Toronto real estate market currently, you can book in a call in that first link in the description down below. So the average rental unit asking price hit record high in June, and this is data from rentals.ca and Urbanation. We'll go through the Urbanation report today. The data analyzed monthly listings from the rentals.ca network and showed the year-over-year rent inflation for June was 7.5%, below the double-digit growth seen for most of 2022 and 2023. So this is something where I really need to jump in and discuss. We're actually not as big of a jump from where things were in 2019. We all know what happened in 2020 and 2021. And in the city of Toronto, we saw a max exodus out of the city. We had over 6 months of inventory when it came to condos, which put it in an ultra buyer's market. We also saw tons of inventory when it come to rentals. And I remember going out with clients and we could see 3, 4, 5 units and take our time to make a decision on one. If they didn't get that one, they could easily go to one of the other 3 or 4 that we had seen and be able to rent that one. Stay tuned for a little bit later when I discuss my experience of what we've been seeing right now in the Toronto rental market. So the keys of this report come from Sean Hildebrand, who's the president of Urbanation, and they do a ton of real estate research. What the country is experiencing right now is the perfect storm of conditions. He goes on to say that it's interesting rents continue to grow this fast despite rental apartment completions in Canada currently running at multi-decade highs. It really shows that the housing industry isn't producing enough rental supply to satisfy this record level of rental demand. The average cost for a one-bedroom unit in June was $1,780, up 10.2% from the same month in 2022. I also want to note that this is for Canada as a whole, and these are not the Toronto numbers. Demand is being driven by Canada's rapid population growth, most of which is coming from non-permanent residents such as foreign students who rent, along with near record low unemployment, rising incomes, and the worst home ownership affordability in over a generation for first-time buyers. High interest rates are a key ingredient to the lack of housing affordability, and he predicts that the Bank of Canada's latest rate hike earlier this week, which was at the start of July, would worsen existing barriers to entry for renters looking to buy a home. It's just going to keep reducing supply by keeping renters in their units for longer. It'll convert more would-be first-time home buyers into longer-term renters. The last fact that he goes on to say is that it'll slow down the supply pipeline of new apartment projects because higher interest rates obviously raise the cost of developing. So if you jump over to the urbanation.ca website, you can easily find this article. It's called GTA Rents Hit Another Record High with Vacancy Below 2%. And this chart is the average monthly Greater Toronto Area condominium rent for Q2 of 2023. So that's April, May, and June. And when looking back at this chart, it looks like prices were kind of going up by give or take about $100 a year all the way through until 2019. And that's where we saw that big jump. Now, if we were to take the average rent price of 2019 at $2,400 and add about $100 a year, we'd be right where we are today at that $2,800 mark. And I find that super interesting is that it really just brings us back to that trend line. The last couple of years, as discussed, were a big drop when it comes to rent prices. For Greater Toronto Area purpose-built rental units, we've hit that 19,000 mark, which I think is a good thing. I don't think it's really jumped up enough to increase the supply for renters. So I want to discuss the Toronto real estate market right now when it comes to renting a property. And it is extremely competitive when it comes to basically anything out there. Now, if you are in the market looking for a rental in the Greater Toronto Area, I would suggest that you seek the help of a professional to help you navigate the process to make sure all your documents are in line so that when you do find a property that you like, you're ready to offer on it right away. On the flip side, if you're a landlord and you are looking for a tenant on your property, there's a few things that you can do to make it stand out. And I would also suggest that you seek a professional who knows how to make your property shine and prep it properly for rent. The other thing you want to do is make sure you get all your documentation in line so that you can properly do your due diligence when it comes to the tenant. And the last thing is about the purpose-built rentals. And while I think they're actually amazing for the city of Toronto and will definitely increase the supply, don't think that just because they're purpose-built rentals that they are affordable. those condos are extremely expensive, even though they're purpose-built rentals. The other factor in the purpose-built rental world right now is that all of those units are built and occupied after November 15th, 2018. What that means is there is no rent control. If they're purpose-built rentals owned by a corporation, most likely you will be getting a rental increase up to market value the next year. So if rents continue to increase by 10 or 20% a year, which I don't think we'll see huge jumps, but properties that are owned by landlords, especially if they're older than November 15, 2018, they can only raise the rent next year of 2.5%. So if the average rent price for a Toronto condo goes up by $100 next year, that's probably more than 2.5%. So I'm really curious to hear your thoughts on the Toronto rental market right now. And if you're searching for a property, what you've been seeing. And if you're a landlord, what you've been seeing on that side as well. I'm Michael Ouzas. Thanks for watching.